Eddie, my home has found us.
That was my best Venom voice. I need to workshop that a bit more. Venom: The Last Dance. Eddie and Venom are on the run, hunted by the government and otherworldly aliens. The duo is forced into desperate measures in order to stop an alien force and save the planet Earth.
My home has found us.
Who sent that thing?
My creator.
Of course.
I'm not a big fan of the Venom movies. I loved Venom in the early 90s animated TV show. The first movie with Tom Hardy, I wasn't a big fan of, I gotta be honest. I really did enjoy, though, Let There Be Carnage a lot more than the first Venom movie. So, was I excited for this movie? Not really, but I was curious to see how they were gonna wrap it up. It was alright. You know, it was good. It was kind of on par with Let There Be Carnage. It was better in some ways, and it was worse in some ways. Kelly Marcel, the writer and director of this film, did a fairly decent job considering it was her directorial debut for a feature film. And the fact that it's a big, you know, studio budget anti-superhero film, she did a decent job.
Good job.
You can definitely see the cracks in her filmmaking, though, at times, especially when it comes to the writing. But I found that to be true in all three films, no matter who the director was. There is definitely a certain amount of schlockiness, and it's a bad movie that I love to watch, you know? It's one of those movies that you don't take too seriously, and you just kind of have fun with it. And if you can get into that mindset when watching these Venom films, I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. If you're going to criticize every little thing about these movies, then yeah, it's going to fall apart. The filmmaking, the writing, the acting, the directing, the producing, the set design, the action is all better than Madam Web, Morbius, and a lot of other sort of Sony Columbia in association with Marvel movies. I think the Venom films are the best of the bunch. This movie kind of falls into that same place. There are some great things about this movie, don't get me wrong. Tom Hardy is back and better than ever as Eddie Brock and Venom, and this dual partnership on screen that I think is hilarious. It's a buddy cop movie, it's an anti-hero movie, it's a road trip movie, and I love that it incorporates all these things and makes it an alien invasion movie too. It's also a dark comedy, it's got some hilarious moments and some really sad moments, and it kind of goes all over the map in its tone at times, but ultimately they're just supposed to be a fun thrill ride. And at the center of all that fun is Tom Hardy in such a great role. I think he's awesome as Eddie Brock. The movie is also written by Tom Hardy, or at least he has a story credit on it. And he's also one of the producers of the film. He definitely has an invested interest in these films. And the action is the best out of all three Venom movies. And all the action in this movie, besides maybe the last, 25 minutes of the film, is set in the daytime. It's very bright considering where the past two movies have felt mostly at night. It's very dark, and I get that that's the Venom character and stuff, but a lot of the CGI was being hidden in that, darkness, and you can tell that at times. I was curious to see how the CGI was going to look in this movie, and I think it's vastly improved. It's a lot better. It's more smoother. Yeah, it's still, a little cheesy looking, but I think that's just kind of the make of the world and the look they were going for. But the action and the CGI and the thrills of this film and some of the set pieces are really cool. There's a great action scene and a great dance scene in Las Vegas. There's this really cool scene outside where this carrier brings in all these guys on ropes and cables, and they drop them into the water with Venom and, Tom Hardy being chased by them. And I thought that was a really cool action scene. The set pieces was really cool. It happens a lot at Area 51 or a decommissioned Area 51. And I thought just some really sweet ideas and a fitting end to the trilogy of Eddie Brock and Venom. It was fun, and I like that about these movies. At the very center of it, I can just have a good time, sit back, turn off my mind, and just watch crazy symbiote action. Venom hops from animal to animal in this movie, and it's done in a really cool way, and I like that part. And there was definitely some creative things with this film that really stood out, and I did enjoy.
I like it a lot.
However, this movie is definitely not perfect, and I think ultimately the biggest problem for me is that the story is just very messy. There's a lot of characters that this movie tries to make you feel emotionally invested with, but you're just getting introduced to them, in this movie, and they spend so much time with different characters. There's a family in a van that travels with Eddie for a while, and he bonds with them. Then they have like this thing with Juno Temple and this general played by Chief Adil. You know, they're great actors, and I love them that they're in this movie, but they're kind of thankless roles. There's not much to them, and they try multiple times to get us to like emotionally invest with these characters.
Investors? Possibly you!
Instead of focusing on Eddie and Venom and making it really about them in this relationship, in this symbiotic relationship that they have, it's focused on these other storylines that I just don't care about. If they had focused more on Eddie and Venom and not the other characters, I think this film would have had a lot bigger of an emotional payoff at the end of the film with the climax. This trilogy could have really wrapped up very well on a high note. Too much of this movie was telegraphed, even right down to the title of this film, The Last Dance. The movie didn't take a ton of risks, and it didn't feel like the stakes were high, even though they were trying really hard to make it seem like the stakes were high. By an hour and 40 minutes in, I was like, all right, I'm good with this. Like, we can, you know, wrap it up. And some of that has to do with like the excess characters in this film. And I'm gonna just say right now, there is no sort of like crossover with Spider-Man universe or anything like that. It's its own thing. So if you're hoping for like there to be like a Marvel or a, you know, Amazing Spider-Man thing, and like it's not going for that. It's not that kind of movie. It's great, awesome. Not everything has to connect. There is a post-credit scene that you should stay for just to check out. Ultimately, I did have a good time with this movie. I do think for my rankings, I would say Let There Be Carnage is number 1, The Last Dance is number 2, and then Venom, the first original film, is number 3. Before I get my final grade on this film, if you like this video, please click that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. And also comment down below, what did you think of Venom, The Last Dance? Which one of these Venom films is your favorite? What is your favorite anti-hero or superhero Marvel film? Let me know with your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you so much for doing that. So ultimately, I'm gonna go ahead and give Venom, The Last Dance a B-. Come back and check out some other movie reviews such as Smile 2, Saturday Night, and The Substance. Thanks for stopping by, everyone, and we'll see you on the next film.